I'm Nicole.
I'm Geraldine.
I'm Lauren.
And this is
Doing the Damn Thing, an entrepreneurship talk show.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our latest episode of Doing the Damn Thing. We are so grateful that you are here. Before we dive into this video about how it is to be a woman in business, make sure to hit that red button, subscribe, ring that bell so you get all our videos. And of course, like this video, comment, and share, and all that good stuff. So like I said, we're going to talk about how it is, how we feel as women in business, the pros, the cons, because we all have very different experiences. So I guess how have you guys dealt with it? Let's just head and
how are we gonna jump in?
How are we gonna jump in? So let's maybe go around what have been some of the negatives that you have experienced about being a woman in business? Let's get the ugly out first, and then we'll end with the positive. Sound good? Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, so both Nicole and I we got our MBA at Mills College, which is an undergrad. Undergrad, it's all women, which Carmen went to the undergrad. So actually, we're a full Millsy crew.
Yes.
And Geraldine's honorary.
Honorary, yeah.
Yeah. But of course, when I entered the program, it was still pretty new, and I was a few years before Nicole. It was called Women in Business. So I kind of expected to learn a little bit about the kind of what it's like to be a woman in business, and it was absolutely just pretty much the same. They just taught us all the same, and I do believe in equality, so we do need to, but there were some challenges that I experienced coming into the real world, and probably we experienced just in working too, but the one thing that I always talk about that was really shocking and blatant to me was I had been networking with an executive that was, he is pretty well respected, and I had requested, we'd interacted throughout our time when I was at Mills, and when I got out, I wanted an informational
lunch meeting.
Thank you. I'm totally blanking. Sorry. No I think because I'm so drunk. No, I'm just kidding. And an informational interview with him. And so we finally coordinated. And then I said, so where are we going to meet? And he said, how about we do a picnic in the park? And not just a park, like a city park in the mountains. Yeah. Which was
that doesn't sound like a meeting.
Yeah. And I was
like a date.
It does.
Yes. It's a date. But
but he was not. No. And I was like, okay, so I kind of try to play it cool, and I was like, well, we could meet by the lake, which is more urban. At least, I still thought the picnic was inappropriate, but at least I was like, well, let's be in a more populated place. Yes. And he was like, we could just do it some other time. So, because I said it might rain, so we might just do it another time. So I was pretty shocked by that, because I dare him to ask another man for a picnic in the park, in the mountain park.
Just seems inappropriate, and just obviously his intentions were somewhere else. And it's not fair to take advantage of people who are trying to seek your help. And I think that's something that we women sometimes have to be aware of, is what are people's intentions? Yeah. Are they really trying to help me out, or are they interested in me in another way, which I might not reciprocate? So that can always, that's probably the first negative that comes up a lot for women in business, is the sexual, sexual harassment, or the sexual tension that happens. And it's just it's just unfortunate. And I feel like we get really taken aback sometimes. It surprises us. We're just wait, what?
Yeah. I think it's supposed to surprise you. I hope we don't feel like
it's normal.
But now we're talking about it, so it's I know I expect it in a weird way, but I don't want to have to expect it. I don't want to hope that's someone's intention.
Yeah, we might have more of an answer for it next time or something. And I think you were saying, when we were all getting ready for this episode, you said something kind of what you were about.
Sometimes, being a woman in business, you don't know what someone's intentions are, because they might come at you a certain way, or the people in your life might think that these people have ill intentions. So I had an ex-boyfriend who once said, oh, well, that guy's not interested in training you in theater, he just wants to sleep with you. And it's totally taking down my value as a person. It's oh, well, I don't have anything to bring to the table, or why wouldn't anyone have an interest in me? Oh, well, they just want to sleep with you. It's totally diminishing our power and our abilities. So I think people just kind of look at it as sometimes that way, they don't see we have something to bring to the table.
Exactly. And I feel like even coming from your boyfriend's perspective, your ex-boyfriend's perspective.
Ex. That's why, boys.
I mean, he was saying that clearly to hurt you and for somehow, in his mind, protect you from the evil in the world.
Jealous.
But, jealous. But it's also like that guy that wanted to help you, generally probably wanted to help you. And I feel like when other, like, those men that want to help, they also have to, like, go over that hurdle of, like, I generally just want to help. Like, I'm not trying to sleep with you. I just want to help. And when you have other people saying, like, all men just, as a male, like, just saying all men want to, like, you know, just sleep with you, it's sort of like, well, now you feel like you're hearing it from the other team, so it sort of validates that thinking. And it's like, not all men want to do that.
Yeah, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to, like, I'm not going to look at every man with suspicion either, you know? That's why I feel like it could be surprising sometimes when we get treated that certain way.
Yeah. And I feel like we should probably just mention that it happens for women to men as well. So it is more of a power dynamic, but just because it is changing, but it's pretty much usually the man that's in the power. So we definitely aren't trying to be a man bashing or anything like that.
But we live in a patriarchy.
And we have to give the space that.
And you have to also think just historically. Like there's always the men have always had they're the doctor, the woman's the nurse, you know, like they're the account executive, the woman's secretary, you know what I mean? So it's just like you have that history, and I think, but going back, it is just a power dynamic. So we are aware that it can be the other way around. So please do not hate on us.
No hate mail, please.
So I know when we were talking about this, Geraldine and I had like the opposite perspective because we had more like positive experience about being a woman in business. Do you want to?
Sure. I think one of the, and maybe this is coming from my perspective as someone who isn't like the girly girl, so I don't really experience any of the harassments or anything like that, or maybe I do and I just don't notice it. But I think for myself, I look at being a woman in business as what are the different qualities of being a woman that I can bring to the table. So nurturing, having a really global, holistic perspective on everything that we're doing, and also the level of communication. So sometimes, not all men, but for some men, they can be more aggressive or just very straightforward, and for some tactless, or just the way that they're taken, just because they tend to be more straight shooters. But I think as women, we have the ability to listen and really have more compassion and empathy and communicate in a way where it's landing for the other person, like, wow, they're really there for me, and I really want to do business with this person. So for myself, I've really been using that as my advantage as a woman in business to, get people to do business with us, or just to be business colleagues, just because there's a certain level of support that I know entrepreneurs really need to have.
Well, particularly as a web developer, because it's such a male-driven, like you find more men in that position. So it's also a nice thing to have a woman who might have a little more empathy and be able to handhold, because, all technology can be overwhelming for people, you know.
But also kind of on the converse side, sometimes women get bashed because we're too aggressive, or if we are straightforward and blunt, maybe communicating in the same style as men, we get labeled as bitchy, mean, bossy, all these things, but it's all a perspective thing. I think it might just be the way people view women in business, especially in positions of like management and like, more of a boss. People don't want to look at you as a boss, or they think you're being too combative or something like that, when you might be just acting like any other person in business.
I think that really depends on like the industry, and then also just like maybe where your company is located at, because maybe like the culture outside, like where you live, is different. I feel like my positive experiences have always been maybe sort of the opposite, because I do dress pretty girly. And I like wearing like colorful outfits, and I know I learned this at such a young age. So a lot of my internships, all my supervisors were pretty much white male, to be honest. And then I started getting white females as my supervisors. So that was like, ooh, crazy. But I was like, I didn't come off as a threat. So then, because they didn't see me as a threat, they were then able to bring down their own walls and actually hear me and then they want to mentor me and then like nurture my like business growth. And then I also like always have these conversations in my head. I was like, but what, if I was like a Mexican American male, would I have come off more as a threat to like the white males, and would I have not gotten mentored as much? Because I feel like I have been in rooms where I think about where I'm like the only one that looks like me, and so either I have to speak for all women, or I have to speak for like all Latinas and women, or all women under a certain age. Like it's like everybody. Apparently, I'm like the spokesperson, but it's like it's
your responsibility.
It's your responsibility.
Yeah, and so I know I have to give a certain. Carry myself a certain way, but I also know, okay, I'm in this position and they don't see me as a threat, so they're going to give me all this valuable information, and therefore I can share to people. Because there's going to be a lot of people that maybe aren't in this room, and so it is sort of my responsibility to actually get all this contacts and then spread it around.
Well, so perspective is everything, because I would say you could even take that and think that they thought you were not a threat because you were more girly. Maybe you weren't as smart. So they were like, or maybe they were offering mentorship for the, so am I doing the same? Like, who knows? But it's like, that's where everything, because we have, Geraldine and I have had this conversation a lot just around any kind of difference, right? Like, I don't think often we have a lot of conversation. I mean, we've been part of a lot of different conversations about like the way that different groups are treated. But, like if you're not tripping on focusing on whether it's because you're a woman or not, or because you're a particular race or age, then you're not even allowing it into your filter, and you're just kind of going on. So that, in that sense, it's almost ignorance is bliss. But also it's like, or are you creating issues that aren't really there? And I'm totally not saying, because I mean, like, my example was a very clear example of sexual abuse, like sexual harassment. No way to cut that. Right? It comes
out great. And you were maybe not thinking that in the first place, so you weren't trying to let that kind of energy in, but it did. It got to you. I mean, it happened. So you can't erase who you are. You can't erase, how you come off. You can't erase, your background, your ethnicity, and stuff like that. We have to be, acknowledging that. But also maybe, just not letting it put any limits on you internally.
Yeah, exactly. And you could, oh shoot, I just had such a good thing to say. It was the perfect thing. Go ahead.
No, so one of the things that I remember reading, I read Bad Feminist, and so we'll put the link in that book in the description below. Love it. But one of the things that I love about it was that it was talking about how everyone is born with privileges. We tend to think only like white males have the privilege, and they do tend to have a lot of the privilege. And I think when I know I'm coming off like girly and like less learning, I'm like, that's a privilege. They may think I'm stupid. I don't care. But I'm going to use this to my advantage.
Right, you're like the undercover spy.
With my spy music on, I'm like, but it's like, I think we all have to be mindful. It's like, is being a woman in this maybe particular situation I'm in a privilege, or is it a burden?
There's something called beauty privilege too. Like I've had people let me do things that I probably shouldn't have done just because of the way I look, like using private bathrooms that are not really accessible for the public. Like, sure, go on in here, I'll give you a badge. Why? Okay. You don't know me, right? But I think it's just because of the way I look.
I just often hot women.
But sometimes I kind of felt like, is that unfair? Right. Is that unfair? I know I'm getting a privilege right now, but like, would someone else be denied that privilege to use this bathroom? Because
yes, they would. And just enjoy that bathroom.
I sure did, and I got some food in that. I was like,
well, one class that we took at Mills that did address the women, the male-female divide was negotiations. Did you take that class?
I did take that class. I loved it because I was a communication major. So
it was. I think it was pretty much most people's top two, if not best class, and it was a class where we read I remember we read a book and it was called like Why Women Say No or something like that. If we can figure it out, we'll let you know. But basically the premise was, okay, a man and a woman go in for an interview. They both have the exact same qualifications. They both, like, everything's the same. They get offered the exact same offer, but the man asks for more.
Always.
Yeah. So the woman, it's like in that scenario, it's like, okay, is that is that a prejudice against no, it's not against the hiring manager. It's against the person about themselves, because the guy will be like, I'll just ask for 30,000 more and then get it because they asked, you know? Why women don't ask. I think that's what it was called.
And I think it goes back to like, you have to ask, like, to give a real world example. So my husband, he works in finance. So he can see everyone's payroll. Like, he's not supposed to, but he does. Okay. So at a previous company,
someone your friend can work at a company.
So at the previous company, there's this woman on his team that basically went above and beyond, like maybe a few years younger than him, so early 30s, above and beyond, but she seemed like miserable, and he was also like, why doesn't she like me? I'm new to the team. She keeps just not really wanting to give me a new task. And then he saw that she was making significantly less than what he was making. And he's like, I didn't even negotiate hard for this role. Like, I took on like a signing bonus and all that stuff, right? But he's like, hey, why didn't she like ask more? I'm like, yeah, she probably knows that all these new people that are coming in are making a good amount more than she is, and she shouldn't take that anger out on her coworkers. She should take that anger out on her managers.
But she doesn't. Well, she doesn't know. Well, I mean, it's really not the manager's fault. Well, it is the manager's fault from the perspective of if they were really equality based, they would be giving everyone the same.
Yes.
And on the other hand, too, she didn't ask, and
she didn't ask,
your husband did.
Yeah.
And it's a business. Like, if they can pay you less, they're going to pay you less, probably.
Well, which is a key thing for us all to remember as women is if they can, they will.
Yeah, we all are looking for a deal. We're all looking for a deal at any point in our business, so why wouldn't they?
We had
one observation that I have is that I noticed that a lot of women in business tend to price their services for what they are, just the face value. Mm-hmm. So based on their current skill set, the different things that they have to cover, and there's usually not padding above that. So I recommend this not only for women in business, but also business people in general. Always pad your pricing, because things happen where it's unexpected or
padding your pricing.
I think we had a video on that, did we? Did we do a video on
pricing? We talked about pricing.
Yeah. So you can check out our channel for more information on how to do that.
Yeah.
On that same note is the men just like if women don't know how to do it, they won't put it on their resume, but men will be like, yeah, it's on my resume, and then they're like, we'll just learn it later, you know?
Yeah, like why don't you just fudge a little bit? Like you'll learn it later. You'll be and I'm like, wow, that's pretty bold.
Yeah. Well, like, it's also like, think about it, if it's a large corporation, they have put in this onboarding period. They know it's going to take you some time to get to learn it. Like, they're not going to fire you if you don't know how to do it. So
depends. I guess it depends how important.
Yeah, if it's the one little thing, if you can do 7 out of the 10 tasks, you can teach yourself the 3, or delegate it to someone else.
Yeah. Hire a VA.
Yeah. Basically, just do that. But yeah, I get so I have, again, use my husband's example. I'm like looking at his resume, I'm like all impressed. I'm like, you know how to use that? He's like, yeah, sort of. And I'm like, you know what? It's paying the rent and the trips. I'm all good. Lie away.
If it's wife approved, just go ahead.
Oh, with the stamp on his resume, I'm like, I approve this.
Approved.
I think he's endorsed by you, right?
But I think that's just the name of the game. It's also, I think, maybe men approach their careers, maybe the industries they work in, as a chess game, who's gonna win, while we're just sort of not even approaching it as a game. It is what it is.
We're just happy to be on the board.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be on there.
I came to the game. I'm watching you guys play chess. It's awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like in the business world, it is a game. Yeah. So put on your war paint, whatever game you want it to be, chess, football, I don't care. It's a game, and you have to know that you're going to be the person that fights for you the hardest. No one else is going to fight for you as hard. Even if you have a champion that's rooting for you to get hired at this company, you still are going to fight for yourself the hardest.
So you sound like that was just I think we all should maybe end this with some wrap up of thought of okay, so being a woman in business, put on your war paint, get out there and play the game, show up and play the part, and don't apologize for it.
And like Geraldine was saying, know your strengths and what being a woman maybe gives you as an advantage. For me personally as a photographer, working with women is a lot easier because they can relate to me, they feel a lot more comfortable. So I actually have kind of a leg up from other photographers because of just being glam.
I mean, because they could even tell you, like, when it's, like, their time in the month, they might not feel comfortable telling the male that, and you could really get that, like, girl, I feel you, like, you know? Like,
need a heating pad? I got you. You know, I already know what to do. Yeah, it really gives me an advantage, and, like, I've had other people say, like, you got it in the bag just because of that, and, like, the type of photography you're trying to do, people are going to want to come to you, because also another male-dominated field. Yeah. So if you're a minority, maybe you're standing out, you know.
That's funny. I wouldn't assume
photography, videography.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I guess because I only feel comfortable working with women for the most part.
No, so, when I was at Fashion Week, it's like men, and then like, oh, look at that, there's a female.
And I also just feel like in a lot of these industries, women just haven't had enough time to work in these industries. Like how long have women been in the workforce? Like 50, 70 years? 40s, since compared to how long have men been studying doctors?
Really just in the past few years that we're even in executive the last roles. Decades, where we're in executive
So we're playing a lot of catch up. Yeah. And there's nothing
wrong with that. But we're doing it damn good. Yeah. We're doing the damn thing, people. Women.
Right, Geraldine, what is your last tip, wisdom?
Make sure that you're using your listening skills and nurturing the relationships that you have in business, because that's really what it's about. You know, people do business with you because of your relationship with them, more so than your skill set and all these things, because everybody has skills. You can hire somebody who charges less than you or charges more than you with the same skills, but they cannot hire somebody with your personality. So
be you, be yourself.
Yeah,
girl. I think for were you gonna?
I was gonna say Lauren because.
I was gonna dip out of that. Well, I think it's like, you know what, the world just in general needs more women in roles of leadership. So you know, if you're not getting that feedback from the surroundings that you are, either, you know, try to change those surroundings by just being the bomb ass person you are, or get out and start being in other places where they will let you, because there are environments, or become an entrepreneur. And you know, where I think that's part of it too, is we have so much more control over a lot of these things that we're talking about, because we're the ones setting the rules for ourselves.
Forge your own path, make your own business, make your own world. Why not?
Yeah, why not? And happy Women's History Month. Yes. Because that's actually why we thought about doing this.
So happy Women's History Month. But if you guys like this video, again, of course, like it, share, comment, all that good stuff. And let us know how you feel about being a woman in business in the comments below. And you don't just have to be a woman to comment below. We would love to hear from everyone's perspective. So thank you so much. Have yourself a great week. Bye.
Bye.